Now this question says the nth term of a number sequence is n squared plus 1. Write down the first three terms of the sequence. Now this takes us to number sequence. Now basically a number sequence is a pattern of numbers, okay? A pattern of numbers that actually following a particular rule. For example, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, then you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 5 is 10, 2 times 6 is 12, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 6 is 18. Same way, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, 4 times 4 is 16, 4 times 5 is 20, 4 times 6 is 24, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 4 20, 5 times 5 25, 5 times 6 30, 6 times 2 12, 6 times 3 18, 6 times 4 24, 6 times 5 30, 6 times 6 36. Now I wrote down this pattern of numbers to use it to understand what we mean by number sequence. A number sequence is a particular set of numbers following a particular rule. Now let's see this one on row 2. We'll find out that this one on row 2, each number that is after another number is always doubled, that is always added, as in a 2 is added to a number before it. For example, 2, now you add 2, you have 4, you add 2 again, you have 6, you add 2 again, you have 8, you add 2 again, you have 10, you add 2 again, you have 12, just like that. For this one is 3, each one is just being added, a 3 is being added to each number to get the one in front of it. Now this is what we'll just title a number sequence. Now if you want to get, there's something we call the nth term. The nth term of a sequence. Now what it basically means, okay, is a kind of formula that you can always use to find any term of the sequence. For example, this is the first term of this sequence, this is the second term, this is the third term, this is the fourth term, this is the fifth term, this is the sixth term, okay. Now this is the first term of this sequence, this is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth, this is the fifth, this is the sixth. This sequence can have a 100th term. Now you have to agree with me that if you're asked the 100th term of this particular sequence, you keep adding 2 and adding 2 and adding 2 till you get to the 100th term before you can be able to say it without a formula. Now that's where this nth term comes into play. It gives you a simplified formula that you could always put a term, you're looking for into it and then get the main value. You agree with me that this 4 being the second term of this sequence doesn't mean that the number has to be 2, okay. The number is supposed to be a full figure, and then the term doesn't mean, okay, for example, if you're told to find the 100th term of this sequence, it doesn't mean that it has to be 100. You're told to find the 5th term of this sequence, it doesn't mean it has to be 5. If you're told to find the 6th term of this sequence, it doesn't mean it has to be 6. Do you understand? The term actually differs from the real number. Okay, now how we now find the real number is by using a formula, and that formula we'll call it the nth term of the sequence. An nth term of the sequence, there's a particular way we find it. The formula is given by a plus n minus 1 d, why a is the first term of the sequence. A is the first term of the sequence and d is the difference, or the repeated difference. At times we call it the repeated difference. Repeated difference in that it's that particular number that is common when you do 4 minus 2, 6 minus 2, 8 minus 6, 10 minus 8, 12 minus 2. That's for that sequence. Or a number that is common when you do 6 minus 3, 9 minus 6, 12 minus 9, 12 minus 15, 18 minus 15. And you agree with me that the number that is common when you're doing 6 minus 4 or 8 minus 6, it's 2 for this sequence. The number that is common for this sequence is 3. Now let's work with this sequence first of all. Now to find the nth term of this sequence, is going to be the first term of the sequence is 2, so you'd have 2 plus, now you bring down the n minus 1, and then the d is 4 minus 2, 6 minus 4, 8 minus 6, and things like that. 8 minus 6 is 2, 6 minus 4 is 2, 4 minus 2 is 2, so the repeated difference is 2. So you have 2 plus, this times this is 2n minus 2, okay? It's going to be 2 minus 2 plus 2n, and that is going to be 2n. So the nth term of this particular sequence is 2n, okay? Now, having 2n as the nth term, now let's find the 100th term of this sequence. The 100th term, you just substitute 100 in this value of n wherever you see n. So you have 2 into 100, so it's going to be 200. So the nth term, the 100th term rather, of the sequence 2n is 200, okay? 2 also, when you have for 3n, 3n plus 1, sequences differ, okay? Now the question we had there was, okay, now there are two types of sequence. Again, let's go to that. We have arithmetic, we call it progression. Progression is another name used for sequence. And geometric. Now arithmetic is sequences you get by doing plus, by using plus or minus, and geometric, there are sequences you get when you're using multiplication, squares, and things like that. For geometric progression, the formula is going to be a being the first term, r raised to power n minus 1, okay? That's the formula for geometric progression. But this geometric progression, we're going to go into it further when we have a question that deals with it. But the most basic thing, and that's the one we've got to now, is arithmetic progression. Now let's get back to the question that we were asked further. Now the nth term of a number sequence is n squared plus 1. Write down the first 3 terms of the sequence. So we're given that the nth term, or the formula term, is n squared plus 1, okay? Now for you to get the first term, remember I said earlier that for you to get the first term, you put 1 where you see n. For you to get the second term, you put 2 where you see n. For you to get the third term, you put 3 where you see n. So the first term will be 1 squared plus 1, and that will be 2, okay? For the second term, it will be 2 squared plus 1, and that will be 2 squared is 4 plus 1 5. For the third term, that will be 3 squared plus 1. 3 squared is 9 plus 1 10, so and so on. If you want to find the fourth term, it's still the same thing as 4 squared plus 1. 4 squared is 16 plus 1, that's 17. So that's how you calculate the term when it comes to arithmetic progression. The geometric progression, I'll do more on it when I'm solving a particular question on it.